Hi, welcome back to Sunday Nights with Faye Seidler. It's Faye, me, that's who I am. It's Sunday night when you're seeing this, or it might be a different night. It could be Monday nights for you. You can do whatever you want. But we're going to get back into my show where we talk about things, so let's do that. For my first story, I want to talk about an opportunity from the North Dakota Museum of Art. They are taking residency, so artists out there are able to get paid to come in and teach youth about art, which is a cool opportunity to help youth out. If you're a parent and you want an opportunity for your youth to explore and learn more from artists, that is an opportunity for you, so it is a double win. However, if you are an artist who is interested in donating your time and talent in getting some money back, so I guess it's not a complete donation, you can register up to March 31st for that opportunity. So if you know artists in your life who are professional artists in some capacity, let them know about it so they can do it. It's a really exciting opportunity. Speaking of creative endeavors, anyone in North Dakota can submit a story for the North Dakota Narratives Writing Project. This is, I believe, through the Fargo Public Library, and they take in stories from all across North Dakota as well as our region, so people in Moorhead qualify too. And they take submissions within nonfiction, fiction, and poetry, 2 submissions per author. This is a way for you and your stories to be kind of part of the legacy of North Dakota, which is really cool. I've been debating on submitting my own kind of work to this. I like to write about downtown Fargo and wax poetic about it, so I might. If you do and say you did, that challenges me to step up. So if you are a writer, if you know people who are writers, if you want to encourage writing in people, I think it's 13 and up. Double check all their information. They do need finished, finalized works, as well as original works. So check them out. But if you like this stuff, let other people know. Do it yourself. I think this is just one of those cool opportunities that comes by every year. I want to let individuals know, more specifically school folks, as this is a pilot program that will be offered for schools called SPARCS or Project SPARCS. What that is it is structured psychotherapy for adolescents responding to chronic stress. This is actually a really exciting opportunity, I think, because there are a lot of youth and kiddos out there who we have to send them home to places that aren't great, and we don't have good options on the table. And what we need is better resiliency and better tools for them to be able to process that. That's not good, to be honest. That's not what we need. We need a better society, a better, more functioning and equitable society that all youth have the opportunities and access to, safety, love, hope, food, all that kind of stuff. But we don't. And so long as we are not creating those opportunities, there are kiddos who are struggling chronically, and this is a harm reductive process to help them make it to places where they can thrive as adults. I want to let everyone know that the No Kings protest is happening March 28th at 1 p.m. This is a protest generally in opposition to our federal government in the ways that they have taken actions that seem to not align with our Constitution. I think we've seen quite a lot of horrific constitutional violations, at least something that your average reasonable person might consider, especially with the recent ICE occupation of Minnesota. And generally, our war in Iran seems to... So if you don't like how our federal government is running, and if you don't like how our executive branch seems to treat our congressional branch like middle managers to their agenda, this could be a general protest to let them know you are not satisfied with the direction they are taking. A democracy is a fantastic thing which allows dissent, which is great. We should keep on doing that. So if you support something like that, if you want to go to this protest, you definitely can. You might also feel the same way when there's a Democrat in office, and you should also protest that. One of the great features of our democracy is we do get to complain about this stuff, and that's good. And then finally, I just want to talk about all the Transgender Day of Visibility events that are coming up. On March 26th in Fargo, there's the TITA of Art Auction and Gallery at 6 p.m. at Parachico. On March 28th in South Dakota at 12 p.m., there is the event at the Prism Center hosted by Transformation Project. On March 28th, there's going to be the gala at 4:30 p.m., also being hosted at Parachico. On March 31st in Bismarck, there's going to be a yoga fundraiser event happening in the morning. Then on March 31st, there's a Grand Forks event happening at 5:30, hosted by Grand Forks Out and Proud. And then finally, my event happening, which is the Raise a Trans Flag event on March 31st at 9 p.m. All this information you can just find on my website. Look for your city, see where you can support them. I'm asking everyone on the 24th, tomorrow, to change your profile picture to the trans flag just to encourage a week of positivity for our trans community. And then I also am taking sponsorships for my event coming up, and you can support that any way you want. But I just want to let you know all these events are coming up. Please support this community. Life is very, very rough for them, and they could use just a week of niceness, kindness, please. Please do that. Thank you. Thank you for doing that. in advance. Moving into general stories, I just have one to share about the celebration, the Jeremiah program. This is a really inspirational organization that helps interrupt and prevent poverty, especially for single moms. I think it's a fantastic resource that I love to be able to refer people to. They also have their celebration event coming up next month in April. So if you've ever been involved with that work or want to support it more, especially raising women out of poverty, I recommend getting involved at that event. I think it's going to be a fundraiser and a celebration, but I just want to highlight that. I want to let you know there's a free Mom Hug chapter that's been started in Fargo. Relatively new, so I don't have a lot to say about them, but if that is something that you are interested in, they have some Facebook presence right now. They're across some other social media. Typically, the vibe with the group is that a lot of youth maybe don't have community or maybe don't have family for a lot of different reasons, and this is to give them that connection, that warm connection from someone just to be, hey, I love you. So that's what's starting. If you're interested in that or what they're doing, you can check them out. Often it's for LG plus youth, but I don't think it's exclusive to LG plus youth. It's just to make sure youth and young adults do have someone that can give them a hug. I want to share a story from Wyoming, talking about the push for suicide prevention in Wyoming. Wyoming is one of our smallest states, so it is worth knowing that every suicide death that happens in that state is going to seem like way more than any other state. That said, I do want to talk about suicide prevention in general because our numbers are increasing. If you look at North Dakota data, it is increasing. But that doesn't mean our suicide prevention work is bad. It doesn't mean that it is worthless to fund our suicide prevention work. The fact is that life is that much harder. Wealth inequality continues to skyrocket. We continue to lose health insurance. We continue to still have to survive from the consequences of the pandemic. We don't just brush ourselves off and walk away from years of trauma. So there are so many things in our society that are still impacting us and are making things a little bit harder in every way. And I think if we didn't have such a dedicated suicide prevention force existing across our nation, existing locally, doing the work they do, the numbers would be way higher. We are getting numbers down. We are successfully having intervention and giving hope to people. And that isn't going to always show up if the trauma just happens to be more. So I think we do need more funding. I think we do need more mental health support. We need to help a lot more young folks out, especially young boys, to access healthy models of communication and self-worth and respect, because right now I feel like our youth are not getting good tools like that. So this is just a story I want to bring up in the context of the conversation about suicide prevention because I think that folks who don't work in it might get the wrong idea from some of the conversations folks are starting about it. But I truly believe, as someone who does suicide prevention work and works along so many of partners in there, that they are doing a really good job. They are doing the best job they can. I see the effort they put in every day. I see the intentionality they put in. They are not throwing things at the wall. They are helping people, directly intervening, and creating models that really are inspiring to see and didn't exist when I grew up. So I just want to say all that about suicide prevention. I want to share a recent story of immigrants from 44 countries becoming U.S. citizens in Fargo. I think about 200 different people. This is not uncommon. There are naturalization ceremonies that happen frequently that have been the final step for individuals to become citizens here. Of special note, this event was attended by Governor Armstrong's wife, Kirsty Armstrong, and she is someone who also immigrated, became a U.S. citizen through the same process. I think it's important to highlight the value that anyone who makes their life here brings, and that immigrants and immigration have always been a big part of this country, of this community of North Dakota. It's really bad today that we have so much xenophobia that really maligns people from different countries or the diversity that they bring or the value of that diversity. I think all of our communities are made better by having more people come into them, by having more perspective, ways that we can understand and learn from each other and different histories that we may have come from. I think that's all fantastic. So these are opportunities to just support just ways people come together, find new life and find new communities, and another great celebration of all of that. I want to share a story about a writer from Canada talking about North Dakota, and it's as alarming as you can imagine for a multitude of reasons. The first is the topic is about Christian nationalism and how everyone in North Dakota seems to be ascribed to that. But the second is the casualness in which this Canadian writer talks about how no one goes to Fargo or Grand Forks anymore. They wax poetic about how we used to have a good relationship, but yeah, no one's going to the United States anymore. No one's going to North Dakota. In terms of a state that enjoys some tourism from Canada, North Dakota could use folks to like us still. And they do, they just don't like some of the stuff our federal government's doing and some of the more unhinged stuff that we see in North Dakota. If we stopped that, they would come back and we get Canadians again. Yay! But they do talk about the Christian nationalism here. They actually interview Rob Port, which is kind of fun because he gets to just be the subject of the story, as well as a few other people here. The vibe in the story is that's a little bit of a misnomer, and that is people ascribe to that idea largely from the ways that they relate to Trump and not because they really are 100% gung-ho Christian nationalists. But what the story kind of talks about is that people aren't like ride and die Christian nationalists. They're just using that as kind of a label to relate to the president, is what Mr. Port, I think, said in that story. But effectively, that while that does seem kind of scary, folks, it's just a label that they don't super actually care about, was the vibe of the story. So the overall story is, it's not great, but it's also a good look into how Canada sees North Dakota and the images that we might want to, I don't know, do something about if we don't agree with them. For my last story tonight, I just want to talk about a federal judge has overruled the direction that the Health and Human Service Department has gone into to effectively banning trans care by denying funding to any hospital or clinic that basically took federal funding. The judge in their ruling says it is kind of about that, but it's also just about the reckless disregard for the Constitution and the behavior of our administration to just do things and hope that they work or hope that they win the challenge, even though they are clearly probably unconstitutional. I know there's a specific legal framework, like the kind of fishing for that kind of stuff. I don't know it offhand. But what this means is that potentially a lot of the hospitals that are currently ending care for trans youth because of this federal threat might be able to continue to offer it. However, like all of these stories and issues, it is just going to be this wild, like, well, this happened and it's good, but maybe it won't be upheld forever, or maybe another judge will rule in their favor. Maybe it'll be kicked up to the Supreme Court, and the Supreme Court will accidentally side against trans people again, like they do every time. So it's so tough because it's good news that we are effectively stepping in to stop what is clearly something that will harm quite a lot of people and not in the interest of public health whatsoever, just a political interest. That's good, but we can't rest easy, and we basically can never rest easy until we have adults back in charge of our health and human services. So it is good. It's some sign that our judges are still standing up to our federal administration and protecting the right to life and liberty and all that for our trans kiddos and their parents. But we still have to be ever vigilant. Lastly, if you like my show, if you like what I stand for, which is truth, honesty, integrity, I'm one of the good ones. If you support all that, you can tell your friends about my show and make it super popular. I have this cool angle. North Dakota hasn't tried it yet, but someone who's young and hopeful, talking about the news. We have not seen that, and I'm trying to break into this new market. I know people aren't ready for it, but they might be. So if you share it with them, it can go further, and then I can become hip, fresh, fetch. Everyone will love me. So if you do that, like, subscribe, share, tell your friends, tell me what stories you want to see, and I will put them in here so we as a state can be more informed about the important things we each care about and not just depend on the news randomly picking it up. Just talk to me. I'm the news, and I randomly pick stuff up, but it doesn't have to be random. So that's my ending bit for my show. Yay! Enjoy the warm weather while we have it. Bye.